What's going on, people, and welcome to season 2 of Big G Meets the Music Stars, a show where I, Big G, get up close and personal with the stars of the music biz. And I'm talking about the stars who create original music. On today's show, we're going to feature DJ slash music producer slash record label owner, a dude who's traveled and performed all across the globe. But he is with us right here, right now. So give it up for Aneesh Gera! Anish, an absolute pleasure and privilege having you on the show. Thank you for coming and joining us out here.
Thanks for having me.
Anish, let's talk about your brand new single, Kryptonite. Tell us in detail.
Wrote the record 9 months ago.
Okay.
Sent it to a whole host of record labels who rejected it, which was lovely. A little insights into the music industry. And then sent it to Ali and Fila.
Okay.
And they loved it. So long story short, once we had our dates aligned,
okay.
I think I wrote Kryptonite, I think it was last monsoon when I was in Goa.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then once we had our contracts in place and got the release schedule done.
So you did that exactly a year ago?
About 9 months ago, just towards the end of the monsoon, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And then it's been out about 2 weeks now. Yesterday we hit the world top 100.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually on Beatport. So huge shout out to everyone that's been supporting the record and it's doing quite well. So humbled.
And why the name Kryptonite? Is that because you look like Superman?
No, not at all. Thank you for that. I'm a kid at heart, man. I think you know that by now. So, and I'm very methodical with how I name my records. Yeah. Superman fan right from the time I was a kid. I think the first superhero I ever watched. The original Chris Reeve. Chris Reeves, if you remember him.
I have seen the movie too.
Wanted to obviously tie it in somehow and thought Kryptonite was a cool name.
Yeah, it is a cool name and you are a cool dude for coming up with something like that. And that, viewers, is the reason why Kryptonite is the name of Anish's new record. Okay, Anish, what advice would you give to people who want to become a DJ and what platform should they pursue?
Great. Okay. Good question. So a couple of things. I'm a Goan, born and raised.
Okay.
Very passionate about most things Goa.
Okay.
And I think we've always kind of led the way in terms of entertainment when it comes to the country. We are the nightlife capital of the country.
I agree.
And we have so much of talent in Goa. It's not even funny, but we're in a great time now, right?
Yeah.
In the creative space currently, we're in a very good time. There's so many doors open, right? For the fact that we're even doing something like this at home in Goa is brilliant. And this is what the next generation needs to do. So you don't need to be one-dimensional of, I'm going to be a DJ or a one-man band or join a band and that's it for my career.
Okay.
Right? You have 20 doors open for you. The internet's booming. There's so many careers that you can pursue. And they're very bankable. And this is something that I feel is very lacking in Goa.
Yes.
So when I started, I was very much in the creative space. It's where what I want to do. I want to perform. I want to write. I want to create. But I also went into the admin side and the business side of music.
Yes.
So I own my own record label.
Okay.
Right? I'm signed to a publishing company in London.
All right.
Only because there isn't a good publishing company in India for independent artists.
Which brings me to my next question. The lack of a record label in Goa.
Right.
Is that a factor that could influence musicians to pursue music as a career?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, the amount of talent we have in Goa is incredible.
Okay.
But unfortunately, everyone's got 1 or 2 revenue streams and that's it.
Yes.
But why isn't anyone thought of, hang on, let me write an album.
Yeah.
Right? Distribute, publish, market.
Okay.
Right? That has to be the next step.
Yes.
And I'm not talking within Goa. So most of my fans, Godfrey, as you're aware, especially with Spotify,
yes,
I think India comes in the top 50 countries that I'm streamed in.
Okay.
Right? It comes within the top 50. It's nowhere in the top 10, 20, 30, or 40. Everything is the West.
Okay.
And that's a huge revenue model for me. And there's no reason why anyone else in Goa or India can pick up that mantle.
Let me extend this question. Has your record label promoted any Indian/Goan?
Of course, yeah.
I've
signed a Goan lad last year.
Okay.
His name's Raj Naik. In fact, he goes by Nike. And I've released 5 or 6 of his records already, with another one coming out next month.
Okay.
And Raj is a great music producer. In fact, he teamed up with a girl from Margao called Valerie De Silva, who's a stunning vocalist.
Fantastic.
And you know, when you get demos sent into your label, it's always a couple of listens. I send it to my partner, we send it to the team and get feedback. But when I had these records come in, it was a no-brainer. Sign it, because the quality is incredible. And that's the kind of talent we have here. So we have that platform, and that's what I'm trying to push. But I'm specifically in the electronic music space.
Okay.
Right? So if somebody wants to write a rock album, a reggae album, or, you know, being typical Goa, maybe a Jason Mraz kind of a vibe, I don't have that platform, but I think a lot of people should invest in doing it. It's bankable, and that's what's lacking in Goa, is the infrastructure for the music industry.
So if a DJ decides to produce his own music and sends you a demo, if it's good, there's a chance that you would release it?
100%. I'd definitely sign it. If it's good. If it fits my vision with my company and the vision that we're aiming for the next 2 years,
So viewers, if you are a music producer and specifically electronic music, you need to send in your demo to Ultraviolet Records. Anish is going to take care of things.
Definitely.
Anish, we have reached a segment that I like to call Quickie Round.
All right.
Now this is a round where I'm going to ask you a set of questions.
Okay.
And your answer is limited to a few words.
Okay.
Or max a sentence.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Hit me.
Your musical influences.
Can't do them in a small, short answer, but Faithless, Prodigy, Underworld, Michael Jackson, the old school guys, proper. Quincy Jones, that lot.
Okay. Question number 2. The music software you use and why?
Logic X, because I'm a Mac user, and it was logical. So you either do Ableton or you do Logic. I'm a Logic lad.
Perfect. You have performed at so many venues. Which is your favorite place to perform?
Venue probably would be Ministry, if we're looking at venues as a whole. So the Ministry of Sound London, by far.
Okay.
But cities or areas, home, Goa.
Goa.
No contest.
Well said.
No contest.
Well said. Other than music, what are you passionate about, Anish?
I can't do that in a few words as well. But again, off the top of my head,
one thing.
The sea.
Fantastic.
Not many people know that about me.
Well, I did not know that about you. Okay, Anish, those are warm-up questions.
All right.
Now let's ask you a couple of fan questions.
Okay.
Anish, are you single?
That is personal, so I'm not letting you know.
Yeah, but your fans would like to know that. A yes and a simple no would suffice.
Okay. Yes and no. How does that work?
Good one. Good
Okay,
one.
go on then.
Another fan question.
Okay.
How many hours do you spend daily at the gym?
At the gym?
Yeah.
Well, since we're still in lockdown-ish, quarantine, isolation-ish, there is no gym. But I try and get about 30 to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. It's not the length of time, it's just the quality of the workout.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that.
So.
Okay, Anish, we as entertainers are often called party animals. My question is, if you had a choice of becoming an animal,
Right.
which animal would you choose to become and why?
Something in the sea for sure. Dolphin or a shark or something like that. I'm very much inclined to the sea. I'm a water baby.
Excellent. And thus ends the quickie round.
Oh, that was
Anish,
fine.
you have successfully crossed that round.
Brilliant.
And
I've survived.
yeah, and survived.
Great. Okay, cool.
Anish, you have traveled all across the world, played at so many venues, and consequently gather a whole lot of fans.
Right.
My question is, your most memorable fan moment?
I've got quite a few.
Yeah. I'm all ears.
Not So recently we did a tour. I was coming over from England when I was based in the UK, and I was doing an India tour. I think it was something like a 6-city or a 7-city tour that we did. And we had a fan who followed us to X amount of cities in succession.
All the way?
Yeah, that was a little worrisome.
I wouldn't call that following. I would call that stalking.
You can call it what you like. I won't, but that's fine.
But that's amazing.
Yeah, initially it's a great compliment to a certain extent, but then there's a bit of a fine line.
Yeah.
And then once you cross that fine line, it's a bit weird.
Another incident?
Not something that I would repeat on camera, but I'll tell you later, for sure. I've had all sorts of things thrown at me on stage, let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah?
And all good things.
Okay.
Very good things.
Nothing nasty?
Nothing nasty at all.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good, to be fair.
Okay, my next question is we're digressing a little bit. A lot of local DJs in the market tend to play other people's songs and are quite happy with it. Right. And if not other people's songs, even other people's remixes.
Okay.
What made you, as a DJ, go the original way?
Right, okay. So first things first, there's a lot of misconceptions about this. We're talking about two separate things here. You're talking about music production, being a songwriter and writing your own music as an artist.
Yes.
And a DJ.
Yes.
They have almost nothing to do with one another.
Okay.
The best way I can describe it is, I use this analogy a lot actually. Think of a car mechanic who changes car tires and Lewis Hamilton. That's what you're comparing. You're comparing two people who work around a car, but in two totally opposite ends. So they're not really correlated.
They're connected but not correlated.
Just. So a DJ's role is to play other people's music. That's what you do.
Okay.
Right? And being an artist is a completely different thing. So you will get a lot of people who are just artists and not DJs and vice versa. And I think the reason why you see so many artists who do DJ, and I use that term loosely, is because it's really bankable. And it's a great way to up your revenue, especially with the current state of the music industry.
When you started off, whose music did you play the most?
Oh, what a great question. You know what, I've been doing interviews for almost 2 decades and no one's ever asked me that. When I started off, whose music did I play the most? So I started off in 2001, which is like, 50 years ago. And I think at that point, I'd completely fallen in love with trance. Not the Goa side trance, but trance. So Above and Beyond, Armin van Buuren, Tiesto, when Tiesto was still good. And Paul van Dyk. So I think at that time, Paul van Dyk had just released For an Angel and Another Way, Tell Me Why, those kind of records. And it was just all about the vintage classic trance at that point. Grease 2000, ATB, do you guys remember ATB?
Yeah.
9 p.m. Till I Come, those kind of records. So that kind of Balearic Ibiza sound is what I loved, still do, to be fair.
Do you miss those records?
I do, because at that point, DJing in Goa DJing anywhere was nothing like it is now. At that point, DJing was, if you were a DJ, you needed a couple of requirements.
Okay.
A, you needed to be stupid. B, you needed to have an IQ below 20. And 3, you needed to be either a drug addict or an alcoholic.
Okay.
That was the perception. So, it was such a frowned upon industry. And I remember at that point, I used to be proud to be gigging, proud to be a DJ. I loved it. And people would just sort of, look at you like you were a leper kind of a thing. It was like a misfortune.
Oh.
Right? So it's like, oh, okay, he's a DJ. A bartender, not to knock bartenders, but a bartender was considered to be a more respected profession than DJ.
I can so understand.
And back in those days, mate, DJs were the last things you thought of. You walked into a nightclub or a bar, you couldn't find the DJ because he was behind and underneath the stairs or something in a venue, right? So it was very challenging at that point.
So you started off playing underneath the stairs?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I've played underneath everything. Sheds that have fallen on me. Yeah, it's weird because when people look at you now and the career you've made, because right now there's a lot of glitz and glamour and it's a very lucrative field, but the roots are incredible, mate. When I started gigging in Goa, I couldn't afford a car, right? I was trying to keep myself afloat. Because I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and I didn't want to, keep leaning on my mum. That was one of the main reasons I started getting into it. And I had a bike and I used to ride 80 kilometers every night to play this one venue in Culver called Avlock. I'm not sure if anybody here remembers Avlock. I know you do. Chris might. You will. All the kids won't. And I used to play this venue which was 40 kilometers away. And we did it in the monsoon. So,
and viewers, moral of the story is persistent pays.
well, it was passion. So
here we go again. Persistence and passion pays. Okay, Anish, we have reached a fun segment that I'd like to call No Holes Barred.
right.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and you've got to answer them as honest as you can.
All right, I'll do my best.
And in turn, you could ask me a question after I finish off.
Excellent.
And I will answer it as honestly as I can.
All right, you have a deal?
Okay, first question. You're quite aware that I follow you on social media.
I am.
I'm not stalking you.
Sure.
But there were these two posts that caught my attention. Okay?
Merde. Okay, go on.
Let's talk about the first post.
Right.
The first post showed toys or collectibles, as you call them, and the post read, "Refuse to grow up." Now, my question is this. What is the craziest extent that you have gone to acquire a particular collectible, and which one was it?
Oh man, you're really putting me on the spot here. Quite a few things. So there's a few of my friends, we all are kind of into our collectibles.
Yeah.
And yeah, I completely endorse it. Please don't grow up. It's overrated. I think as kids, everyone was dying to grow up. And now that we're here, it's like everything's gone,
Yeah.
to pot. Anyway, so I'm an 80s kid.
Yeah.
So He-Man, G.I. Joe, those were the kind of things I kind of grew up with. Hanna-Barbera cartoons, that kind of stuff. And I love memorabilia all the way through.
Okay.
I had a friend of mine who had, anybody here familiar with He-Man, Masters of the Universe? Excellent. These are my people.
Yeah.
He-Man had, I don't know what, he was like a magician, like an oracle called Orko.
All right.
He was a wizard.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had He-Man and he had Orko.
Oh.
Yeah, big problem.
Major.
Because you can't do a swap. Like, a swap's not cool. To anyone who's a collector, you can't swap. Like, you either have it or you don't. So we ended up on this ridiculous sort of bet to see who would win both of them, which included everything from arm wrestling to running races. And we just came up with all sorts of weird competition stuff to see who could win the collectible.
Okay.
So it was things like that.
And who won?
If memory serves, I think I won, but then we agreed to do a swap. So we still date. This was like 10 years ago.
Okay.
We still timeshare. So I'll keep Orko for a year. Then when I'm bored of Orko, I'll give him back. Then he gives me a He-Man figurine back.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I've been collecting from everywhere I go. And truth be told, when I'm on tour, two things I always want to do. I always want to check out local cuisine, local culture. I'm really big on that, local history.
Okay.
And I will go to a toy store. Because you never know what you're going to find. Right?
I totally agree.
I remember I was in Hong Kong and I found the old Aquaman. Not the new Jason Momoa reboot, which is brilliant, but the cartoon Aquaman, where he had like an orange suit and the green bottoms.
Yeah,
and he was a blonde guy.
weird.
Yeah, totally weird,
Yeah.
but it just took me back. So found an Aquaman and they were cheap, like $1.
Okay, there's this other post that I had gone through, which was an action shot of you on stage, and it read, "Well behaved as usual."
Right.
My question is,
Right.
have you been badly behaved on stage, and what is your definition of badly behaved?
I have no idea what you're talking about whatsoever. Do I look badly behaved to you?
No.
Exactly. So why would you ask me that question?
Yeah, but when you say
I think that's really
well-behaved-
unfair to ask me that sort of a question, Godfrey.
Yeah, but when you say
Have you been badly behaved on stage yourself?
many times,
Excellent. So there you go.
many times,
I'm very well behaved.
never been badly behaved?
Good going Catholic boy.
Okay. The second part of the question said, then what is your definition of badly behaved?
Right. So on stage, truth be told, very well behaved, very professional. I won't mess about on stage-ish.
Okay.
Off stage, backstage is a completely different ball game.
Okay, let's talk about the backstage misbehavior.
Okay, this is not really letting anything out the bag, but last year at Supersonic, which is India's biggest music festival, I have a couple of really close mates
Okay.
of mine, and we've been doing Supersonic from the get-go. So it's the host of Tomorrowland, MC Stretch, Martin.
Okay.
The other host, Rohit Barker.
Okay.
Nikhil, myself, a very close friend of mine called Ashish. Bless him, he's no longer with us.
Okay.
And So our given rule is whenever we do the festival, we all kind of put up at the same hotel. And we all just hang for 3 days, and it's just brilliant. It's music, it's your best friends, it's fantastic. That's what the festival is all about. So I remember I was closing the festival last day. I was opening for Marshmallow.
Okay.
And Barker had the car waiting down, and I think we were all ready to leave. And as I'm walking out my hotel room, I'm looking into the washroom because it was a glass facade.
Okay.
And there's this impeccable bathrobe.
Okay.
And suddenly a light bulb went off. So I called Barker and I was like, mate, have you got a bathrobe in your washroom? And he's like, yeah. I went, hang on a second. Called Martin. I was like, have you got a bathrobe in your washroom? And he's like, yeah. I said, bring him. So we said, okay. So 3 of us turn up to the festival with completely wearing what we would normally wear to a festival. So you're wearing your good clothes and you're kitted out. And we just put on our bathrobes, called ourselves the Bathrobe Boys, and basically went around the entire festival in bathrobes for a good hour and a half. So much so that most of our fans started this thing on I think, Twitter, when we started trending as the Bathrobe Boys. And we have then trying to get a deal with Supersonic to have us as the headliners for next year as the Bathrobe Boys.
How cool is that?
Cool, stupid, kids, whatever. So yeah.
Okay, now it's your turn. You could ask me one question and I'll try and be as honest as possible.
All right, do you want to explain your antics about last night?
Oh, that's pretty simple.
Go on then.
I actually cooked dinner.
Okay.
Ate dinner with my wife and daughter and slept at 9:30, which is not a good thing to admit on camera because we are supposed to be late nighters, we are entertainers.
Right.
But hey, I sleep at 9:30 when I'm not gigging.
Right.
And that's the truth, the whole truth,
fair
and the
enough.
absolute truth.
No, fair enough. I completely believe you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you something about overcompensation, right? When you're too good, that leaves a lot of room for a lot of other things to creep in. Worst thing you've done on stage. Or naughtiest thing you've done on stage.
Actually, I wouldn't call this really naughty. I walked up on stage with a glass of beer and encouraged everyone to drink.
I think that's fantastic. You're just getting the party started.
Yeah. And I was asked by the sponsor to do that.
Right.
So I think that was the most awkward thing I'd ever done, actually.
That was the most awkward thing. How long have you been hosting?
Years. I think
Does anybody here believe this answer? Because I don't. I'm not falling for this at all.
Yeah. Honestly, I am well behaved on stage.
Okay.
And come what may, even during the days when I used to drink, I never used to drink during the gig.
Right.
All the drinking was done after the gig.
Right. Fair
so
enough.
This was a little awkward because at the start of the show at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
I walk up on stage,
give
my opening announcement and say, you got to try this beer. It's absolutely
That's fine.
chill.
You're endorsing a brand that you're working with. That's absolutely fine. That doesn't even crack my top 100.
Yeah, and that's the truth. That's the truth.
So according to you, that's the naughtiest thing you've done on stage?
Yeah, that's actually the most awkward
Ryan,
thing.
would you like to interject? I'm sure you have your stories here. I just gave you a backstage story. What's the worst thing you've done backstage or the naughtiest thing you've done backstage?
The craziest thing that I have done off stage was a guy kept pestering me to speak to the DJ. Mera gana bajao.
I'm already annoyed.
Mera gana bajao. And he was doing this while I was on stage.
Right.
So I went to him, caught him by the collar, and pushed him probably 5 feet away.
Right.
And
because he was pestering the guy who was performing at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. You shouldn't interrupt anybody who's...
And I was a little worried that he would get on stage at some point, and he was knocked out. So I didn't want the DJ to be disturbed because honestly, that guy was playing some great music anyway.
Sure.
Now this guy wanted only a particular song.
Sure.
And I got rid of the guy.
Sure.
And that was it.
So there are a couple of rules in Goa whenever you're performing. So if anyone comes up to you and says, Mera Gana, just don't even listen to the rest of it, just chuck him out.
Yeah.
That's like the first rule, right, in Goa.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can request anything you want, but if it comes with that tone, then you're just out.
And especially,
for sure.
Do you recall the festival that we had played? It happened at that particular festival.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember that.
The guy, this is one guy I actually took a swing at.
This was the first time I ever met Godfrey, and Godfrey was so panicky and so sweaty and so nervous when I was gigging, because we had a very interesting audience.
We had a very interesting audience is the understatement of that particular season, because we had an audience that did not understand music and progressive house. Even if you would hold a gun to their head, they wouldn't understand it.
Yeah. No, it was a good gig though. It was fun.
Yeah.
I had fun.
And you have survived the no holds barred round, Anish.
Cheers, mate.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
Anish, thank you so very much for being a part of the show. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege, as always, meeting you. And my peeps, I'm going to drop the links of Anish's music. You need to follow him and stay tuned for a special treat. I'm not going to talk about it. Anish is going to talk about it. I'm going to catch you all guys next week with a brand new episode and a brand new artist. Till then, stay safe and rock on.
Hey, this is Aneesh Gera, and I just want to give a huge shout out to View Playlist, Godfrey, and the entire team for having me on this fantastic show. It's been a lot of laughs, and I think it's a great opportunity and a great platform for everything Goa and everything in the creative space. Considering what we've been through with lockdown and the way the music industry is at the minute, I think it's very much the need of the hour. Thank you, cheers.
Dancing across state lines.